Hello, my name is Chase Brewer. I'm sure you've immediately noticed, but I'm wearing red on red. This is spread awareness for all of our time that has been brutally massacred by all these advertisements. The finite resource of which we all long for more of has been wasted. This is why I sit before you today. To not only spread awareness, but to also show you that these companies are using advertisements to strengthen the class divide. We'll start with an excerpt from an article published by the Wisconsin School of Business. Quote, "For decades, media pundits and economic analysts have been talking about the shrinking American middle class and growing income inequality in the United States. But even as real middle class incomes have declined and the middle class is eroded by inflation and recessions, nearly half of Americans believe they belong to the middle class. Why do people hold fast to that notion when reality suggests otherwise?" End quote. They then go on to suggest that this can be contributed to the advertisement's depictions of social class. So then let's look at some examples.
A change is on the way, like the sound of rolling thunder, bringing on a brand new day, a freewheeling feeling coming down the track. We are racing to tomorrow.
So in these two ads, we exclusively see depictions of the middle class. Companies do this strategically. They want the viewers to identify with the people they see on screen and see themselves in those dreamy lives. It doesn't sound so bad until we see how they depict the lower and working class. Let's take a look.
ออกมาเนี่ยเลยนะไอ้ขี้ขโมยไหนดูสิเอาอะไรไปออกมานี่เอาไปทำอะไรเนี่ยฮะถามว่าเอาไปทำอะไรเอาไปให้แม่
เดี๋ยวเจ๊แป๊บนึงแม่ป่วยเหรอ
อย่าทำอย่างนี้อีกนะ
หมวยเกาเหลาจ๋อนั่งเลยครับนั่งเลย
ป๊า
จัดไปสั่งมาเร็วต่ออะไร
This is our first example. I'm sure you noticed this is a foreign ad. I'm sad to say that's because it's far more common in non-American countries to talk about these kinds of issues, despite the very same issues happening in America. I'd like to give a special thanks to the Borgen Project, from which I found the True Move ad and several other foreign ads raising awareness about the financial and food insecurity. Let's look at another ad with a separate portrayal.
Red, Madge, why did you decide to become a manicurist?
Oh, the usual reasons: romance, adventure, money, thirst for power. And when I see your hands, I wish I were a nurse.
Dishwashing, Madge.
Want to try Palmolive dishwashing liquid? Softens your hands while you do the dishes.
Pretty green.
You're soaking in it.
And dishwashing liquid?
Palmolive.
Mild, then.
Oh, more than just mild.
Right, Madge. Palmolive suds last, from the first glass to the last greasy casserole. And it softens hands while you do dishes.
Madge, that Palmolive liquid of yours, I'm simply in love with it.
What, does your husband know about this?
From these ads, we see two distinct ways the poor and working class are presented. They are portrayed as having valuable insights that the social classes above them don't have but can get through the advertised product, and we see them depicted as dependent on and needing help from the higher classes around them. We usually only see these two depictions because, as the Wisconsin School of Business states, despite the lower class being roughly 20% of the population, they average out to be only 3.4% of the individuals depicted. The lower class is the only one of the three that is underdepicted, with 1/3 of the US population being middle class, yet on average being portrayed 58.2% of the time, and the 1% being greatly overportrayed. Though this is due to commercials using celebrities, not necessarily due to marketing to the 1%. While the Wisconsin School of Business identified a few common themes of class depictions, the Writing Commons article called Analyzing Ads Socioeconomic Status created a checklist for analyzing socioeconomic status in advertisements and provides the Cheetos construction commercial for users as an example.
You guys having a party? No? Nope. Nope. Okay. I can totally see you.
Yes, we know.
Take a Cheetos break with Cheetos.
This is the checklist provided. I'm not going to go through each point and analyze the commercial, as these are very in-depth questions and this isn't about the Cheetos construction commercial, but rather advertisement tactics as a whole. Despite not going through the checklist, I wanted to mention its existence because it can help to guide a viewer's analysis of an ad, and I think they did an excellent job creating it. Another study provides us with an indirect correlation, but an apparent and relatable one. Harvard Business Review published an article called Advertising Makes Us Unhappy, featuring an interview with the University of Warwick's Andrew Oswald, the man that led the study. To summarize, Oswald and his team compared the life satisfaction of over 900,000 citizens of 27 European countries from 1980 to 2011, with annual advertising spending in said countries over the same period. We unfortunately only have a written interview, so I have graciously employed two incredibly handsome and talented actors to portray the interviewer and Professor Oswald, the interviewee. Professor Oswald, defend your research. We did find a significant negative relationship. When you look at the changes in national happiness each year and changes in ad spending that year or a few years earlier, and you hold other factors like GDP and unemployment constant, there is a link. This suggests that when advertisers pour money into a country, the result is diminished well-being for the people living there. What prompted you to investigate this? Like a lot of people in Western society, I can't help but notice the increasing amount of ads we're bombarded with. For me, it was natural to wonder whether it might create dissatisfaction in our culture. How is your happiness and mind shaped by what we see, hear, and read? I think it's rather intuitive that lots of ads would make us less happy. In a sense, they're trying to generate dissatisfaction, stirring up your desires so that you can spend more on goods and services to ease that feeling. I appreciate, of course, that the world's corporate advertisers and marketing firms won't like hearing me say that. Yeah, I don't think they agree that that's the goal of advertising. Their line is that advertising is trying to expose the public to new and exciting things to buy, and their task is simply to provide information, and in that way, they raise human well-being. But the alternative argument, which goes back to Thorstein Veblen and others, is that exposing people to a lot of advertising raises their aspirations, and makes them feel that their own lives, achievements, belongings, and experiences are inadequate. This study supports the negative view, not the positive one. So ads make us want what we don't or can't have? We know from lots of research that making social comparisons can be harmful to us emotionally, and advertising prompts us to measure ourselves against others. If I see an ad for a fancy new car, it makes me think about my ordinary one, which might make me feel bad. If I see this $10,000 watch and then look at my watch, which I probably paid about $150 for, I might think maybe there's something wrong with me. This concludes the reenactment. So we see that advertisements make the populace unhappy, but how does that relate to advertisements strengthening the class divides? Well, the handsome actor who portrayed Oswald just said it. If I see an ad for a fancy new car, it makes me think about my ordinary one, which might make me feel bad. I suspect this is one of the ways that they help to keep the lower class poor. Companies want us to feel unfulfilled. They don't care if people spend money they don't have to get something that promises happiness when in reality it's just another product that only changes one thing about their lives. They have even less money. All this while at the same time making some of them believe they aren't even in the lower class. On your screen you'll see numerous charts. These are questions I asked my classmates and their answers. I'd like for these to mostly stand on their own as I don't want to misinterpret answers to fit my narrative. However, there is one chart that I would like to point out that I think greatly supports my hypothesis. As we can see from this chart, all of my classmates except one feel they were misled and or lied to by a product or product's advertisement. This isn't me just making it out to be more extreme than they meant it either. I'll read some of their full answers to that question. Ruby says, of course, I have purchased a couple things off the Wish app that look completely different than in the ad. Samantha says, yes, plenty of times. Olivia says, absolutely. I have always have trust issues with online shopping. Eric says, yes, online shopping a lot. To me, this clearly shows that this is the norm for companies to mislead consumers into buying their too good to be true products, but that's just my hypothesis. I've left my links to my sources and to the ads we covered in this video in the description below, though I will think you're quite strange if you willingly watch advertisements.